Box Bet Podcast, episode 6 in the house. My man, Versace Vlad, Versace Poppy. I still got to get that down. Middleweight, best dressed of the world. I'm Alex Burgos, editor-in-chief of RBRBoxing here. And we're excited. Got a couple good fights this weekend. Trying to pick the odds, pick the good spots to give you some play here. I'm going to break down Demetrius Andrade versus Liam Williams, not Liam Smith. And also Jake Paul versus Ben Askren, which everyone is talking about with good reason. It's a Triller card, and there's the pop culture aspect and a little bit of boxing, and Triller just bought Fight. So they're going to be in the boxing game for a while. So interesting, and we're going to talk about that. My man Vlad, what do you think about, let's start with the Demetrius Andrade fight, fighting his mandatory Liam Williams, a guy that is tough but not many people know about. And I will give you the odds, which were a little closer at the beginning of the week, but they're about minus 350 for Demetrius Andrade to win. Liam Williams is about a plus 240 underdog.
All right. Really interesting. So let me tell you where I'm at with this fight. I've been obviously heavy on the net, reading everything I can about all things boxing. And I'm surprised in a way to see a lot of people are picking Liam Williams to be a live dog here, picking Liam Williams for the upset to beat Andrade in this fight. And by the way, it can happen. I'll go into in a minute why I think it can happen. But the interesting thing to me, and why, boxing fans and media that are fans and fans that are media, interesting is that, they're fickle, right? So prior to this fight, so this fight is not announced. There's no Andrade versus Liam Williams fight. Everywhere you would look, you would say Canelo is the best, but he's got to see Andrade. Charlo is great, but he's got to see Andrade. Andrade is the best fighter in the sport. Andrade is one of the best fighters ever. Andrade is elusive. He's a tactician. He's quick. He's got the intelligence. Can't be touched. He's that great. That's usually what you will hear. Now the fight is announced with Williams. The fight is here. We're, a few days away, but going back to even Monday, I think Williams is going to beat him. I think Williams could beat him. I think Williams is a live dog. I think Andrade gets upset here. It's just interesting to see that. I don't agree with any of that. The risk for Andrade, I want to just talk about that for a minute. During their press conference, Liam Williams said to Andrade, "Who have you fought?" He's absolutely right. Might not be to Andrade's fault. But he's right. When you scan Andrade's big victories, there aren't big names on there. When you scan Liam Williams' resume, there's even less names on there. I actually can't tell you wow, what a huge resume that Williams has. Williams is a powerful guy, but they both have 18 knockouts. Andrade's taller, longer, and he's going to have the reach come Saturday night. My official pick is Andrade. Andrade's going to win this fight. I do believe it's going to go the distance. You're going to have to put up a couple $100 to get some money back, pick Andrade straight up, or throw him in a parlay. I do think Andrade wins. I do think it could be dangerous for him, but I think Andrade wins the decision here. So I'll say my official pick will be Demetrius Andrade by decision. I think if you want to try to get a little cute, you can put a couple dollars on the fight going over 10.5 rounds. It's like a minus 125 there, so it's basically even money. I think it'll go over 10.5 rounds. I think it'll go the full distance. I think Andrade will get the decision victory. I think Matchroom and DAZN are still in the Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade business. If Saunders can secure a fight with Canelo, I believe that Andrade at some point can secure a fight with someone like, whether it's Charlo or Canelo or maybe Saunders. I think Andrade will still be in the mix. So I got Andrade winning this fight by decision.
What's up, fight fans? This is Alex from the Box Bet Pod here to quickly talk to you about Anchor.fm. If you've ever been interested in starting your own podcast, Anchor.fm is the perfect platform because guess what? It is free and there's tons of creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcasts right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make your podcast all in one place. All you need to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Nice. I'd like to know what message boards you're on because I haven't seen anyone hyping Williams up that much, at least on Instagram when I've posted everything regarding the fight this week. I guess we got a lot of Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade fans on there. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to find the value because I think Demetrius Andrade wins. I think even though we haven't seen really either of them fight top level guys, they do have Alontes Fox in common. They have, I guess for Demetrius Andrade, he's asking the same questions that Liam Williams is asking, like, who have you fought? Who have you fought? And we can go all day because we got to get the names out and start doing some box rec research. Vanes Martirosyan, it seems like decades ago that Demetrius...
that was a close fight.
That's what I'm saying. But and also decades ago. And Demetrius Andrade hit the deck. Yeah. But, years ago. So... maybe if he would have progressed from there, but yeah, the Luke Keelers of the world don't give me that much confidence. But at the same time, Liam Williams just hasn't proven that he's on that level yet. Yeah, he's got power, but Andrade has, I think, more tools in the shed. And so I think initially I was going towards Demetrius Andrade by decision. I think Andrade just in general is the easier pick here, but I'm going to try to find some value here in Demetrius Andrade by stoppage, which is a plus 260. So again, $50, $100, whatever. I think it's worth putting down.
Your official pick?
Yeah. Look, my official pick would be Demetrius Andrade by decision, but I can't say that and then make the bet for stoppage. So I'm just going to go in line with what I'm saying you should put your money down on. So I think, because he's petitioning for such a big fight and he's been for quite a while, but he knows he's got to get these guys out of the way in some kind of spectacular or impressive fashion. So maybe he'll put the pedal to the metal, his foot on the gas, and really try to make that happen, whether it's a Triple G. I doubt a Canelo fight ever happens, but any one of these bigger guys, one of the Charlos, what have you. So if he's auditioning for a big fight, he's got to make some noise here, especially against the guy that a lot of people confuse sometimes for Liam Smith, and they just hear Liam, and the casual, I guess, doesn't know who he is. And so, no knock on Liam Williams, but I think Demetrius Andrade wins this one. I think he does it by stoppage, and I would put a little bit of money down on that.
All right, so we're sort of on opposite sides, right? So we both can't win this one. What's our record, by the way, going into this?
Yeah, you're 7-2 and I'm 5-4.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Look, I'm trying to make the money for the listener here. I'm not making the easy picks like some people, but
is that what you're suggesting?
But look, I could go for. I'm trying to find the spots where you can make bets. So, like, for instance, this one, I don't like to say, yeah, I think Andrade is going to win by decision, which I could see probably happening. But, there's no money in that. And because we spoke about this off camera, I don't find any real value at minus 350 putting 1,000 on Demetrius Andrade. That's just me. I don't think that's a good bet. Not that I don't believe that he's going to win, but it's just like, could probably make a little bit more finding spots like this where it's Demetrius Andrade by stoppage, or some people like to do the round props. I don't like to do that as much unless it's like an over under, like 10 rounds or what have you, but I don't like to pick the exact rounds. But hey, it's difficult when it comes to that. Obviously, if we're just picking straight up, we both say Demetrius Andrade and we're both 1-0.
But our official pick is, I got it by decision. You got him by
stoppage. Right. Okay. All right. So
listen, one of us will be right, or we could both be wrong if an upset happens.
That's true. I mean, shout out to Liam Williams, man. He said he'd join us after, so maybe not if he watches this episode. But moving on to the Triller card, we have a little scrap between Jake Paul and Ben Askren. And we asked Jorge Linares this when we spoke with him earlier in the week. YouTube boxing now. We were talking about social media before, Triller. What is your opinion? There's a big card coming up this weekend, and of course we know Teofimo, he's going to be on Triller as well for his title defense. What is your opinion of maybe the YouTube guys that are boxing and these type of events? Does it help boxing? Does it hurt boxing? Are you for it or against it?
About the YouTube guys and everything like that?
Yeah, boxing. And
I think, I don't want to say something bad, but in the same way, it's not very professional thing when two guys fighting for business show or for money or whatever, or support or help somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. Like, I remember the fight what Mike Tyson do with Roy Jones Jr. That was amazing. That is something good, because two professional boxers, two ex-professional boxers. But for example, a YouTube guy or basketball guy or soccer guy fighting with a boxer, or like something similar, or like a USC or something like that,
mm-hmm.
It's not 100% professional. Mm-hmm. Let me be honest about this. It's two boxers. Like I saw the news now. Miguel Cotto and
Juan Manuel Marquez.
And Juan Manuel Marquez. Come on, that's amazing. That's good. That's different. I want to watch that. Mm-hmm. I'm very fan of Juan Manuel Marquez long time ago. Also Miguel Cotto too. That's very good team. But about YouTube people or different outside boxing more than a box, I think it's not good. It's not a good idea because it's dangerous. Okay, it's exhibition, but look the last fight of Logan Brothers, the basketball guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Nate Robinson.
Very dangerous, man. Very dangerous. Come on, that's so bad.
But
that's not professional.
But it's good for business because it.
Yes, it's very good for business. But what about? Yes, for business very. Yeah. For business very nice. I respect that. But let me tell you something. What about if somebody die?
Yeah.
That's business. No. Kill somebody? No, yeah, right? You need to think in that. For example, Tyson and Roy Jr. They cannot do a reality fight, right? Because it's danger.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, is they professional too. No matter what, is they all too. But about this kind of business, about YouTube guy and the another guy, somebody can die. Come on. So that's not a good idea. For business is amazing, but you need to have limited,
A lot of people are pretty outspoken about these types of cards, but now Triller's throwing their hat into the boxing realm a little bit more. They announced that they bought Fight TV, the streaming app. So they're going to be doing more boxing. They're going to be merging these kind of worlds, pop culture and fighting, whether it's just boxing or MMA. We heard from our main man, Gabe, there's talks about, Oscar De La Hoya and some opponents that are big names as well. So, this is here to stay. So we're going to be talking about this. There's a lot of betting action and hype around this. So how do you see, it's really hard to break down because it's not like we have a lot to go off of in a boxing match between Ben Askren and Jake Paul. But what do you think about this fight? And how do you see it going down?
As usual, I disagree with everything that you just said. When you said, this is pretty difficult because we don't have a lot to go on, what difference does it make? It's not like, we can pick between two guys who have 30 pro fights with loads of tape, and we're going to get that right also, right? We get that wrong. Your record's 5-4 for a reason, right?
Right. I mean, but when you're talking about a guy named Funky,
anyway,
I mean, come on, you just don't know. He might come in hopping like a frog. He might come in on his feet. I mean, on his legs, on his hands. Who knows? You don't know.
This one's actually not hard for me at all. I'm gonna go Jake Paul.
You're going against Freddie Roach. All right.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Freddie Roach has coached more people to losses than he has to victories. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go with Jake Paul here for a lot of reasons, right? So, first things first. This is a boxing match. Ben Askren is an MMA fighter, retired. His last fight did not go well, and as an MMA fighter, his discipline is wrestling. So it's not even a, uh, a form of martial arts that involves any kind of striking. He is a wrestler. He was a world class wrestler, a very talented wrestler, and he brought the wrestling into the octagon. And he had some success, and he got some shine, but ultimately, he ended his career when Masvidal knocked him out, and still is the quickest knockout in UFC history. It was a flying knee that Askren didn't see coming. So Askren is a wrestler going up against a YouTube sensation who likes to box. So on the strength of boxing versus wrestling in a boxing match, I'm going to go with the boxer. So that's one tick for Jake Paul. I believe Jake Paul's the bigger man.
You also believe Jake Paul's a boxer. Okay. I'm going to write that one down.
Don't be a hater. Okay? Don't be a hater, Mr. Round by Round Boxing. So we got the boxing ability. I put that in Jake Paul. Jake Paul is the bigger man on Saturday night. Jake Paul is in phenomenal shape. Jake Paul has been working towards this opportunity, so that I'm going to put the physical size with Jake Paul. This is a Jake Paul event, so I want to make sure that that you're clear on that, right? So this is a Jake Paul event. Jake Paul was put in as a co-feature to the Tyson Jones fight hopefully for Jake Paul to look good. I just want you to know there were a lot of people betting on Nate Robinson that night. I just want you to know that. It wasn't Jake Paul minus 1,000 against Nate Robinson. There was a lot of money coming in on Nate. Nate is supremely gifted. He's going to walk right through Jake Paul. So that was made for Jake Paul to shine and get a card of his own, which he got, a large card. They're fighting at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I just want you to understand there is very few boxers that will headline at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Okay? Those boxers are Canelo, Floyd Money Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, and then other fighters that need a huge opponent to be able to fight in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They're fighting at Mercedes-Benz Stadium with Jake Paul as the headliner. That is, again, by design. So it's all set up for him to win, continue his career, continue these types of shows. These are shows, right? So we don't get it twisted. These are shows, and Jake Paul's going to win. I don't know if he's going to knock him out in the first round or make him look goofy. I don't know, but Ben Askren's going to get paid a lot of money. Ben Askren does want to continue to compete and have fun and want to continue his career, and his name will be out there. But this is a Jake Paul vehicle. It's a Jake Paul show. He will win Saturday night, and I like it. I'm all in on Jake Paul here.
Okay, official pick then. Just Jake Paul.
Jake Paul, and the odds have been kind of teetering. Last I saw were minus 177, so still really good. Anything of minus 150. I mean, yeah, I would even say even if we get up to minus 250, it's still a solid bet. Jake Paul's winning this fight.
All right, I'm going to respond to a couple of things you said about this being the Jake Paul show. I have to disagree there. This is the Triller show. This is Snoop Dogg. This is Charlie D'Amelio. This is Justin Bieber. This is fill in any Doja Cat, anybody you want. They're just bringing all of these pop culture phenomenons into this thing where it's like, oh yeah, by the way, they're boxing too. So, next month they could announce, Kermit the Frog versus Fozzie. And guess what? It's going to sell out. It's going to be this huge thing just because Triller knows what they're doing from a social media aspect. So I don't know that if Jake Paul gets knocked out or beaten, that it doesn't just propel Triller into even a bigger atmosphere and stratosphere with this whole boxing thing that they're doing. And so the thing is, can Ben Askren win a boxing fight against Jake Paul. And that's where I say the unknown is, because Jake Paul hasn't been a lifelong fighter. He hasn't felt the pressure. He hasn't, done all this stuff. Whereas Askren is a fighter. Whether you want to give him credit for a stand-up game or not, we obviously see that he has deficiencies in that area, but he's felt that pressure. He's felt that, having to prepare for actual battle. And so I think that's where like some people like Freddie Roach's mindset comes from. And so, it's enticing to look at a guy like Ben Askren, and I'm looking at the odds right now for him to win plus 200. It's enticing to try to put something on him, but I'm going to go with Jake Paul. He's got a lot of professional boxers and trainers on his side. He's not like scraping by saying, hey, I'm going to do some shadow boxing and show you that I can fight. No, he's actually training. He's been in camp with tons of guys that can actually fight. And, if you're picking him, you would hope that he's picked some of those things up. And so I think where a lot of people started to say, well, what are we doing here picking Jake Paul, was the press conference where he kind of slapped Ben Askren, in response to him getting face palmed and so, whoa, he's not a real fighter. But I mean, we've seen he's been training, he's been doing his boxing thing, and he wants to try to make a name for himself in the ring. And so he's doing it the right way, I think. So for that, I'm going to give him credit without really knowing, can he really fight? But hopefully we get some of those questions answered. And hopefully Ben Askren gets to ask those questions of him when he's leaning against him and when they're in the trenches, and as opposed to it just being like a one punch, knockout, meme, Nate Robinson style. And so I will just say, if you want to put money down on Ben Askren winning plus 200, be my guest. I would not, just because there's too many unknowns. And so my pick is Jake Paul, and I'm keeping my money in my pocket for this one. I am not betting.
I disagree with a lot of things that you said, as usual. This is the Jake Paul show. Make no mistake about it. Snoop Dogg and Justin Bieber and Doja Cat and Ice Cube.
And Al Bernstein. Sorry, I forgot to mention Al Bernstein. The biggest of them all.
And MC8, right? MC8, is he performing? They're performing on a Jake Paul
Coolio
headlining card. Just, if this was Ben Askren against, Alejandro Burgos, there's no fight. You understand that? There's no fight.
It's a mega event. It's a mega event. It just doesn't
built around the Jake Paul headliner. I mean, why is Jake Paul not the co-main? Why isn't
because obviously he's riding the strength and the popularity of the Nate Robinson knockout. Obviously they're cashing in on that. But what I'm saying is that if he loses, they'll still put him in there. Triller will just still be as big. I mean, probably bigger than ever. That's why it's like,
this is the Jake Paul show. I'm just telling you, this is the Jake Paul show. I mean, he was the co-feature to the Tyson fight.
Yes, but that was two senior citizens trying to, capture some old glory. But don't give me that look. That was a horrible fight.
No, I don't care about that fight, but it took Mike Tyson. You understand? It took Mike Tyson getting in the ring to make Jake Paul the chief support. I mean, do you understand what that is?
You're acting like it's prime Mike Tyson. It was Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, senior citizen.
That's not the point. The point
is
that this is the Jake Paul show this weekend in Atlanta. This is the Jake Paul show.
We've seen, if it was such a big thing, I think, DAZN would be ready to jump back in the arena with these guys, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, all the, they got this thing started. So, I mean, now based off of one knockout over a basketball player, I don't think Jake Paul is Edgar Berlanga here. So let's slow down.
Can I help you out a little bit though? Can I help out everyone? I have another kind of like like we did in England last week. Right. I do have a little unofficial idea for the Triller card. If anyone who's interested. So the co-main event is Regis Prograis against Ivan El Terrible Red Catch. Regis is a huge favorite. I mean, minus 5,000. I don't know who's going to win the fight. I don't know. I like Ivan a lot. I don't know who's going to win the fight. But I saw something interesting. for the fight to go over 5.5 rounds, it's plus money. So Vegas believes that Regis is going to wipe the floor with Ivan. That's what. By the way, it can happen. I will just tell you, the last time we saw Ivan was January 2020, right before the pandemic. It's actually the weekend that Kobe Bryant passed away, the night before Kobe Bryant passed away, actually. Ivan fought Danny Garcia at the main event in Barclays Center. One-sided. Danny Garcia victory. Danny hurt him. I think he tried to see if he can get him out of there. It didn't work. So he was content to just box him and get out of there with the victory. But couldn't put Ivan away. I don't think Regis puts him away either. And if he does put him away, I don't think he does it in the first 5.5 rounds. So I think that's an interesting. Don't get me wrong, Regis is a really good body puncher. You can land that body punch in the second, third round and the fight. And everything I say doesn't hold water. Something tells me that this is going to go the distance, if not later rounds. I think Ivan holds his own. I think the 5.5 rounds over. Run to the window. Run, don't walk. We got Tony Superbad Harrison against Brian Perella. Wow, what a tough year last year for Tony Harrison. Lost his father, who's his trainer. It's been a tough ride for Tony. Last time we saw him in the ring, he actually was holding his own in a rematch for Charlo and then got knocked out. But he, probably was on his way. I mean, he would not have won the fight. This one was definitely tipping Charlo's way. But wow, great performance. And then coming off an upset victory where he beat Charlo in Brooklyn. And then he had some injuries. Then finally, man of his word, gave Charlo the rematch. Perella's a good fighter. He's got, his only shot is to get on the inside and to hurt Tony. Otherwise, Tony's taller. Tony's got the reach. Very gifted, supremely gifted boxer. Again, you're right. This is unofficial. Tony's going to win. I don't know if he stops him, but Tony's winning the fight. Probably will be an easy one-sided decision for Tony. I think Al Heyman and PBC still believe in Tony, and again, man of his word, did what was asked of him. Returned the favor for Charlo again. So I think for that, they're going to stay in the Tony Harrison business and keep giving him fights. So I think he emerges victorious tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll just throw in my 2 cents. I think Tony Harrison beats Brian Perella. Harrison's looking at a -500, Perella plus 350. Based off of what we've seen from both of those guys in the past, I don't think there's any reason to pick Brian Perella, but it is boxing. Things happen, but I would go Tony Harrison, unofficial picks, of course. So officially on the books for this week, pick-wise, we do have 2 in play. So we'll see if Vlad continues to be the champ. I'm sorry, Versace Papi. All right, we appreciate you listening. Enjoy the fights this weekend. We will be back next weekend previewing a couple more fights. We got a couple more guests. Make sure you drink your RX water. You can go to Amazon.com and order that.